Story 1. It was a cold, dark night with a wind that felt like it could turn you into ice as it hit your face. Way back in 1986, Frank Shaw was a NASA employee working as an archivist at the NASA Space Center in Houston, USA. He was a hard-working man, extremely good at his job, and he would often work late at night. This night was one of those nights, a night he will soon never forget, as it haunted him forevermore. Pretty soon it was going to be a case of Houston, we have a problem. Frank Shaw finally clocked out. He was looking forward to going home and putting his feet up. He rushed through the car park against the harsh wind to get to his car. And at NASA, do you know what you do if you see a spaceman? You park in it, man. Anyway, Frank Shaw quickly glanced up at the NASA building, and what he saw truly horrified him. It felt like his heart was racing 1,000,000 beats per second as he saw perched on the building a jet black human-like shape staring down at him. The creature had a brutish animalistic look and 2 large bat-like wings. It gazed down at him and smiled, baring its huge fangs that looked like they could tear right through him without any trouble whatsoever. Then the creature began to unfurl its large black wings. As they unfolded, they seemed to be making a cracking noise, like when your bones crack, only this was much louder. It leapt off the building and flew towards Frank. Frank was frozen to the spot even though his mind was frantically telling him to run. He came to his senses and ran like hell to his car. Was the gargoyle behind him, ready to attack? Run faster, his mind screamed at him. Run faster. He jumped into his car and sped out of the car park and raced home. He ran into the house, startling his family. He desperately tried to get the words out and describe to his family what he'd just seen. His heart racing, pounding. His family listened intently. They didn't know what to make of it. Was this father and husband, usually a rational man, having some kind of breakdown? Was he mistaken? Although how could you possibly make a mistake like that? Had he truly seen a horrifying, huge, grinning, bat-like, demonic gargoyle creature? This case is going to become more bizarre. Hold on. His family supported him, but they advised him to keep his sighting to himself rather than mention it to his NASA employers, for they may think they have a crazy man working for them. He kept quiet, but he struggled with retaining this weird, dark incident in his life. It affected him mentally. He was scared to be near the building at night. He eventually cracked and told his employers, much to his surprise and no doubt ours. They didn't think his mind had gone to crazy world, but rather they supported him. They had created a special file for this gargoyle. It contained reports of similar sightings within the compound. It seems 2 months prior to Frank Shaw's sighting of the gargoyle that 2 German Shepherd dogs were found, mutilated and drained of blood right near where Frank Shaw saw the creature of darkness. What the hell had done this? Other witnesses had also come forward and reported seeing the same demonic-looking creature of the night, with its fangs and crackly blacker than tar skin. People were nervous. NASA took these reports extremely serious. Frank Shaw was relieved to get it off his chest. A short while after, Frank Shaw was visited by 2 mysterious men dressed in black. They stated they'd been sent by the government and would like to help. They proceeded to ask Frank questions and asked what he knew about the creature. It was obvious these men in black knew more than they were letting on. The men in black insisted Frank does not mention the gargoyle ever again, or there will be trouble. Frank did not mention it again. The other witnesses too were visited by the men in black and instructed to never mention it again. What was this mysterious creature? Was it a gargoyle? Why did it haunt the NASA building? Could it be an organism that was brought down from outer space by NASA? Why were the men in black so adamant it be kept quiet? What do you think? Watch out for the gargoyle. Story 2. This story was relayed by the boyfriend of an anonymous couple who had rented a beautiful rustic old house with breathtaking views in the Italian countryside. The house predated the First World War and has seen many people come and go. Well, maybe not all the people who have frequented the house have actually gone. The couple had a great day. The weather was brimming with brightness. They tasted some amazing food and drank fine wine. It had been a long day. As soon the couple hit the sack that night, they were fast asleep. The girlfriend awoke startled. She shook her boyfriend awake. He sat upright. They could both hear what sounded like a chair being pulled across the kitchen floor. Reluctantly, they headed to the kitchen. Nothing had been moved. They put it down to the house being old and making breathing noises, if you will. They put what happened to the back of their mind as they had another fantastic day in the sunny Italian countryside. The next night they hear strange noises again. It sounds just like a ball being bounced off the wall, caught and then thrown again. They ventured downstairs. Nothing except the eerie silence and the feeling they were not alone. The night after things escalated, they were both in bed when they heard footsteps walking very slowly and very heavily up the stairs. The air turned ice cold. The girl grabbed her boyfriend tight as they waited for someone or something to appear. Then there was nothing. The footsteps stopped. The night after was to be their last night in the old house. The events of the past few nights had caught up with them. His girlfriend was super tired and quickly fell into a deep sleep. He woke up. He could hear the footsteps again. Very slowly walking up the stairs. He was desperately hoping his girlfriend would wake up. He felt alone. The footsteps got closer to the top of the stairs. He was drenched with the sweat of pure fear. Then suddenly he heard the footsteps pick up pace. They were running, pounding up the stairs. Then nothing. He stayed awake all night, scared out of his mind and praying nothing would appear. The next day the couple could not get out of that old house fast enough. They had a truly nightmare vacation. Story 3. 2015, Lynn Grossbeck, a young 25-year-old wife and mother to a beautiful 18-month-old baby girl called Lily, was driving home after visiting her parents in Utah, USA. She'd had a great night and her mom and dad loved seeing their beloved granddaughter. Sadly, this wonderful night was going to turn into a night from hell. Lynn was driving alongside the Spanish Fork River, a stretch of river that runs 7 miles through southern Utah. She suddenly lost control of the car and it flew off the track, crashing upon the riverbed, upside down. Lynn was unconscious. The car began to fill with water and the temperature was ice cold. If Lynn and Lily were to survive, then time was surely of the essence. Sadly, there were no souls around to help them. Any travelers passing by the stretch of Spanish Fork would not be able to see the submerged car. Who knows how many cars may have passed by, unaware there was a mother and her baby girl trapped and surely just a short time from tragic death. Sadly, hours did pass. The morning soon came. The following morning, a few fishermen ready to invest in a day of fishing in the Spanish Fork River were shocked to discover the submerged car, upside down in the ice-cold flowing river. They dialed 911. Emergency services were quickly on the scene. Surely it was going to be too late. 4 police officers began to approach the submerged vehicle when they all heard a woman's cries for help.
"Help me! Help me, please!"
They frantically ran towards the car and could see Lynn Grosbeck buckled into the driver's seat. She wasn't conscious. Poor Lynn Grosbeck was actually dead. The water had risen up to baby Lily's neck. She was minutes away from drowning. The officers used all the strength they could find within themselves, and then some, to flip the car over. A firefighter quickly cut Lily's seatbelt off. She was only wearing a nightie and a onesie. How on earth had this baby survived more than 12 hours with ice-cold water up to her neck and no food or water? The police officers could not believe it. A police officer cradled her in his arms and ran up the riverbank. He placed her in the ambulance and they quickly performed CPR to revive her. She was saved in the nick of time. Lily miraculously survived and was taken to hospital. She was now in a stable condition. The police officers who attended the scene all filed a report that stated the same. It still haunts them to this day how they all heard a woman softly asking for help. They knew what they had heard, yet it couldn't have possibly have been baby Lily. And it was discovered during the autopsy report that Lynn Grosbeck had died from her injuries at least 12 hours before the officers were even on the scene. Could Lynn Grosbeck's spirit have stayed on to try, even after death, to protect her daughter? Was it her spirit that somehow made sure her baby daughter survived in conditions that should have took her life? A mother's will and fight and determination to make sure their children stay safe is beyond measure, and in this case it seems even in the afterlife. A mother's protection knows no bounds.
Did you lock your door? Sleep tight.